When you look back at your youth, were you the kid who never wanted to leave the field, the court, or the track? Did your parents, coaches, or maybe even you yourself believe that the more you practiced, the better you'd become? If so, you're not alone. Across the world, millions of young athletes have bought into the idea that relentless dedication and single-minded focus are the surest ways to unlock greatness. But what happens when that dedication crosses a line, when just one more set turns into a relentless cycle without rest? For many, the answer is becoming painfully clear. The body and mind, pushed too far, are now demanding repayment for the excesses of youth. Recent research is sounding the alarm about a growing crisis in youth sports, overtraining syndrome, or OTS. This isn't just about being tired after a hard practice or feeling sore the morning after a big game. OTS represents a deeper, more insidious problem, one that can linger for years and affect far more than just athletic performance. In a 2023 study involving nearly 1,000 high school track and field athletes, more than 13% of both boys and girls reported symptoms pointing to OTS. That's not a rare occurrence. It's a significant portion of young athletes, many of whom are now starting to pay the price for those grueling hours spent chasing excellence at all costs. The roots of this epidemic are tangled in the modern culture of youth sports. Over the past decade, a powerful trend has taken hold: early sports specialization. Instead of dabbling in a variety of activities, children as young as elementary school are dedicating themselves to a single sport, practicing and competing year-round. The belief is simple: if you want to make the varsity squad, earn a scholarship, or go pro, you need to start early and work harder than everyone else. But what the glossy brochures and highlight reels don't show is the hidden cost: a dramatic rise in overuse injuries and psychological burnout. For pediatric orthopedic surgeons, the consequences are all too real. One reported treating spine stress fractures in young athletes around 10 times each month, a staggering figure that would have been unthinkable a generation ago. These injuries aren't the result of freak accidents or bad luck. They're caused by repetitive, unrelenting stress on the same bones, muscles, and joints, day after day, month after month. The body, designed for movement and variety, simply isn't built to withstand such relentless pounding in a single direction. But it's not just the bones and muscles that suffer. Overtraining syndrome strikes at the core of an athlete's being, sapping energy, undermining motivation, and making even the simplest workouts feel like insurmountable challenges. Persistent fatigue sets in, performance plateaus or declines, and injuries become more frequent. For some, the joy that once came from sport is replaced by dread, anxiety, and even depression. The dream of athletic glory is eclipsed by a daily struggle just to keep going. If you're one of those who push too hard too soon, you may recognize these symptoms in your own story. Maybe you once loved your sport, but somewhere along the way it became an obligation rather than a passion. Perhaps you're now dealing with nagging injuries that never quite healed, or you find yourself exhausted by activities that used to invigorate you. You're not alone, and the science is finally catching up to what athletes have felt for years. Fortunately, experts are beginning to chart a better path forward. The first step is recognizing that more isn't always better. Guidelines now suggest that young athletes should never train more hours per week than their age in years. For example, a 12-year-old should not exceed 12 hours of organized training or competition in a week. This simple rule helps ensure that there's enough time for rest, recovery, and all the other essential elements of a healthy childhood, like schoolwork, friendships, and unstructured play. Variety is another key ingredient. Rather than specializing in a single sport from an early age, young athletes are encouraged to participate in multiple activities throughout the year. This approach not only reduces the risk of overuse injuries, but also fosters a broader range of skills, better overall athleticism, and, perhaps most importantly, sustained enthusiasm for physical activity. By mixing it up, swimming in the summer, playing basketball in the winter, running track in the spring, Kids can stay engaged without wearing out their bodies or their spirits. Rest days are no longer a luxury, they are a necessity. The body needs time to repair and rebuild after intense exercise. Without sufficient downtime, even the most resilient young athlete can spiral into a cycle of chronic fatigue and injury. Coaches, parents, and athletes themselves must prioritize recovery just as much as training. This means scheduling regular days off, listening to signs of pain or excessive tiredness, and resisting the urge to push through at all costs. Another important development is the growing awareness of psychological well-being. Overtraining isn't just a physical problem, it takes a toll on mental health as well. Feelings of burnout, anxiety, and depression are becoming increasingly common among young athletes who are pushed beyond their limits. Open communication, supportive coaching, and a focus on enjoyment rather than just winning are crucial in helping athletes maintain a healthy relationship with their sport. So what does all this mean for those who worked out too much, too young? The first step is to acknowledge the impact. If you're facing lingering injuries or persistent fatigue, it's important to seek medical advice and create a recovery plan tailored to your needs. This might involve physical therapy, changes in activity level, or even taking a break from intense training to allow your body to heal. The road back can be challenging, but with the right support and a commitment to self-care, it's possible to regain strength, mobility, and a renewed sense of purpose. For parents and coaches, the lesson is clear. The best way to help young athletes reach their potential is not by pushing them to the brink, but by fostering balance, resilience, and long-term health. Encourage kids to explore different sports, build in regular rest, and celebrate progress rather than just results. Remember that a love of movement, nurtured in childhood, can last a lifetime, while the scars of overtraining can endure just as long. And for the next generation of athletes, the message is one of hope and possibility. The culture of youth sports is evolving. More organizations are embracing science-based guidelines, promoting variety, and putting the well-being of kids ahead of trophies and scholarships. By learning from the mistakes of the past, we can create an environment where young athletes thrive, not just for a season, but for years to come. If you find yourself paying the price for youthful excess, know that you're not alone and it's not too late to make changes. Listen to your body, honor your limits, and seek help when you need it. Recovery may take time, but with patience and perseverance, it's possible to heal and rediscover the joy of movement. Ultimately, the greatest lessons of sports aren't found only in victory or defeat, but in the journey itself, learning to balance passion with prudence, ambition with awareness, and effort with rest. By embracing these lessons, both athletes and those who support them can build a foundation for lifelong health, happiness, and achievement. In the end, it's not about how much you can endure, but how wisely you choose to train, recover, and grow on and off the field.